Now let's talk about stratagem tactics. I wrote these guys at 2 downs at a time so we can kind of digest this easier so it's not too much as once. So we have that's ours in the command phase, any command phase, right? It's very clear, it just says command phase. That means it could be in your opponent's. Target one orc unit that's within engagement range of one or more enemy units. The effect is you gain an additional objective control. Yes. A lot of the time, we're dead if we're still in combat. So what units will actually take advantage of this? In mind, you want to have 20-man units of boys or be snaggle boy mobs. Check out our how do you boy mob videos. I always advise using 20-man boy units, not only because people have a hard time chewing through the unit, but it's really about how much stuff you can tag and how much primary you can swing. That also goes for Zagrat Wartsnaga's unit. You're going to give it stealth. A lot of the time, you're going to just have it staged up until the wall and run out to jump on someone's primary. If they don't chew through your unit completely and you've gone to the objective, then you can flip it. Here's what's really important about those two unit guys is that when we're talking about these new gunline castling, Gilliman bricks, and people who just want to kind of stand and shoot Death Stars as they used to do, a lot of the time they'll be able to put multiple Doomsday Arcs on a transport, multiple Reapers or a Dreadnought and someone else onto a objective. So they're going to have maybe 3 units that have 3 OC on this objective. It becomes a bit harder to get multiple Grots to actually survive and still be on that, or a Orc Boys to actually be on that to out OC that. This isn't the case where it can be flipped, even if you fit a couple guys onto that objective, even 3 to 4 models onto that objective. It does make a difference in that case in these circumstances. Of course, you do have bikers and coptas that have respectable OC of 2. So if any kind of the cases that they run up to something and touch it, there's a chance that they don't just get slapped away and brought off, so they can end up possibly use it. And then Storm Boys, and of course, Flash Gets or anything that's maybe 1 OC, because then it becomes kind of 2 OC battle line style. Like I said, excellent for swinging primary and gun lines. Then you have 1 CP Fight Proper. So this is for infantry and mounted units only, but this is very compelling as it gives us sustain and lethal. So we never get access to lethal outside of gas. So this is very unique for us, and I really appreciate it. Orcs, can use it. So here we have Beast Snaggle Boys will actually really appreciate having access to lethal outside of gas. So the fact that they will re-roll means you can go ahead and fish for 6s and just put a nice potential handful of wounds onto people and they're not expecting it, and finish off units that might be already damaged. Remember, this is a combined arms detachment. Therefore, there's times that units are going to be already injured from some of your shooting, and you're going to want to go in there and finish them off. You can finish them off with the nice 95-point U snag unit. That's going to feel good. Of course, this means that you can give access to sustain to gas. So he does give out lethal aura, of course, of 6 of 12-inch aura. On his unit, it's on the 5+ critical lethal. If you give him +1, if you give him the sustain, then it becomes 5+ critical, sustain, and lethal. Then you have good for wreckers and the beast boss. So the fact that these kind of, both these units would really like to have sustain. The wreckers are a really low volume amount of attacks, so being able to kind of throttle it to get more of a shared outcome helps. And then beast bosses, of course, love to try to fish for 6s for more attack, for more hits. That way they have more potential to spike for their dev wounds. So I'm very much in favor of putting those sustains on those guys whenever they get into combat. Of course, this allows you to mid-max your skirmish units with having tactics. So you take something like a Storm Boys unit that you go, here's +1 strength, here's sustained, and then you're gonna go get into that fight over there and have fun, dude. People most of the time wouldn't be expecting that. That unit used to be scoffed at, and now that you can actually get it to those potentials means people have to consider it for picking up their small scoring units. You want to take your small Storm Boys, Flash Gets, boy units, whatever it may be, and hunt down people's scoring units and delete them as quickly as possible. This allows you to possibly pick it entirely up, right? Even if they have 1 scout left, sometimes I can score them points. So feels good to try to really kill people. And then, just for sake, of course, lethals actually were help Squig Hog Boys again. I'm trying to give Squig Boys some love because I know you get to have a bunch of them. So Squig Hog Boys do appreciate lethals because their mounts, are only strength 7. So if you're going into the target that we would like them to be used for, which is vehicles, giving their mounts lethal might be kind of appealing as well if you're really trying to finish somebody off. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our wall tactic dice. So shout them out.
Check them out in description, 5% off in the discount because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Bear Enough Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them.
Then we move on to the next stratagem, tactical retreat. So this is when orc units fall back. That orc unit is eligible to shoot and charge. Shoot and charge. Not shoot or charge, it's shoot and charge. In the turn in which they fell back. Again, we have the 20-man unit of boys, 20-man unit of snaggers. Of course, another unit that might be applicable here is the flash kits with the war boss and mega armor. Of course, if you give these guys rerolls and for some reason you shoot someone and then you charge them, and maybe you charge because you're actually trying to get out of line of sight to shoot. To be shot at, right? There's cases where people do that, where you might shoot someone and then charge someone to your right because you're trying to get yourself out of the line of sight. In that case, you could fall back and try to get into shooting all over again and kind of use both sides of the flash kits and the fact that they have a Big Mac and Mega Armor with them. War Boss and Mega Armor. Big Mac and Mega Armor, sorry. I put a War Boss there, but typo. Then you have, of course, battle wagons. A lot of the time, we'd like to get these guys charged up the field once they disembark the boys that might be inside of them. Feels real good when a battle wagon can jump off the combat he's in, since he doesn't really kill people sometimes, and end up kind of repositioning and readjusting. Either you can make moves, you can use him to move block enemy counter charges, whatever it may be. You would love to be able to fall back and charge or even shoot with their guns. That applies for the kill rigs as well. Both of these guys do have some shooting potential and combat potential. Getting them both off and then being able to charge so you get priority in combat does make a huge difference. And then Def Dredge, just in case you're a crazy git and you want to throw one of those guys inside of this detachment. Then you have Crunching Descent. This is for the Storm Boys that within for each model that's within combat range, you roll d6 on the 4 plus that does d6 mortal wounds. A lot of time people talk about like they can kill something. Of course, you have to consider you're only going to kill something if that thing's already quite devastated from, of course, shooting. So one thing you want to do here is create holes in enemy lines. A lot of the times your Storm Boys will move forward, throw grenades in other detachments, right? A lot of the time that's what I advise Storm Boys for. If you haven't checked out your Storm Boys videos, do that. So Storm Boys will run up, throw grenades for you because other units are advancing, and now you have to be eligible to shoot to throw grenades. So your Storm Boys already want to start popping holes. What do I mean by that? If you take a 5-man unit and try to put it in front of a impulsor, for example, and you have multiple orc units charge this unit, if you throw grenades at it first to try to diminish it, to pop a hole, right, as that 5-man line, maybe you pick up one model or two models, and then you run up into it and you charge it with Storm Boys, but you've also charged it with someone else. Chances are that the Storm Boys can either A, finish off that unit, or B, damage it enough that when they activate and they pick it up, the unit behind, let's say Meganobs or Warboss, whatever, that had charged secondly can still activate once the unit has either been picked up or even just greatly diminished, still pile in and possibly tag the unit behind them. So being able to use mortal wounds to create holes in enemy lines does help in that state as well. Of course, it actually helps you finish off transports. Like I said with the Beast Snagga boys, if you get lethals, what you could do with transports is if you're shooting with tank busters, with the flash kits, whatever cunning get you may be doing it with, there's a chance that he kind of still survived because you have Arky shooting. Here you go. Storm Boys run across the battlefield on a turn that's not the wall. They advance and charge across the field, throw those mortal wounds into him. Boom, finish him off. Feels really good. Keep in mind that once you pop that transport, because you've done it, on the charge and your unit still eligible to activate once to declare a charge, if it can get within 3 inches of a combat range of an enemy unit, that means if you pop the rhino and you can still pile in and touch that unit, you can still fight it that just got out of the transport. So it could be very, very good circumstantially. Then, of course, you can cripple or flip primary. So if there is a unit that they do have some OC and, you're scared that you're going to lose 2 Storm Boys from charging these these Space Wolf scouts, there's a chance that you might have to, mortal wound them and to diminish them a little bit more, to diminish their ability to kill you enough to flip that primary or objective. And then I do advise that at least one of these units can be put on your list for the reasons I just gave. If you want to finish popping a transport and then pile into it and beat it up with your strength 5 unit on a different turn, killing enemy units before they get to activate from transports is huge, or even just disembarking them is a big deal. And then I really like to pop holes in enemy lines so with mortal wounds and grenades. So if I can kill a screen and then allow people behind it to activate and pile into something else, I will always try to do that. And you should always look for those opportunities as an orc player. And then you have On to the next. So in your movement phase, you get to make a 6-inch normal move. So this means you can utilize the bomb squig because this is a normal move. It means that how the bomb squig's wording is, it says whenever you make a normal move, you can use them. So keep in mind that your record boys are going to throw a bomb squig and then they're going to charge and then someone's going to fall back from them. Maybe you charge 2 units, you only killed 1. The other tank falls back. Well, then you're going to do mortal wounds and try to finish that tank off as well, and use both your bomb squigs and really appreciate that. You can move back into a transport. So that's huge. Let's say that someone fell back from your 20-man boy unit and your battle wagon is still alive because they didn't pop it. Go ahead and jump back into that battle wagon with your diminished unit and make them try to pop that gate and go steal a different objective. You cannot move into engagement range. If you could, the strat would be specific and say you could. So don't do that. It's normal movement. So normal movement means you can't end with an engineering unit. And of course, this is situational. I would rather we have a reactive move strat, to be honest, than something like this, because a lot of the time orcs don't survive. They don't endure. I've named units that might, as earlier, but keep in mind it's still just a 6-inch movement, so it's very circumstantial. The best part is jumping back into a transport or utilizing bomb squigs. Then we have dead sneaky in at the end of your opponent's fight phase. So this is picking up one commando or stormboy unit and putting it back into strategic reserve. Uh, this means that this unit can be ingressed turn 5 because it's been brought back out. It's not adhering to the basic coming in by turn 3 rules. That could be quite devastating. Like I spoke about the enhancements, you could bring a war boss and a commando unit in like that and end up being like, well, you can't overwatch me and I'm going to go take your home objective. That's going to be crazy. Which could be. Of course, you can use this to reposition commandos. Let's say that you need to target an enemy unit and shut down an Overwatch potential, and you didn't consider it, or the enemy unit maybe brought in from reserves. You could take your commandos and put them somewhere else where you might need them. Very circumstantial as well. Uh, and then, of course, this allows you to use your Storm Boys, but still have Deep Strike. So you can put a 10-man unit of Storm Boys and threaten enemy the whole game. They're not usually that scary unless you can get Strength 5 or something. But like we said, with impact charges and grenades, you can catch them off guard and really flip a primary in that case. Making them screen all game will also help with this tempo of this detachment, right? This detachment is more of a tempo game, which we'll talk about in a bit. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!